With Dana Mock again tonight. Dana, we're going to have a great one. First of all, the weatherman, he knows the big game's on hand. That's the first good news.
Well, he's done all right in the precipitation category, but I heard the temperatures are going to drop a little bit, but I got my long johns along.
Well, that's you might have to use them, too. It got a little nippy out here last night, although it certainly didn't affect any of the intensity or any of the play. I thought we saw a real fine ball game between two fine clubs. What can we expect, in your opinion, coming in here again tonight, where Quincy was the winner this afternoon over West Dubuque, Iowa, 7-1, and they beat Fargo last night, and they've won 4 in a row in this tournament to get here.
Well, if you look at it, Quincy does have the momentum. They may have the mental edge tonight. Fargo is coming off a loss, their first of the tournament. They've never had to play again after losing their first loss. Quincy, Illinois, I think they've got the momentum. They've won 4 straight, as you said. They beat Fargo last night. They think they can beat them again, and then they picked up a win this afternoon to get back here. But Fargo's got to feel confident, too, because they did not play their best last night, and they came up just 2 runs short. In fact, just 2 swings short of a win.
One thing that impressed me so much about Quincy today was that they were very relaxed. They didn't feel any pressure at all, and they pretty much dominated the ball game against the Iowa ball club, winning 7-1. They got the timely hits. They got some very fine pitching out of Tad Miller. And tonight, Fargo's going to be tested by the big first baseman who we saw hit a couple of dingers last night for 5 RBIs, Mike Kirkpatrick. What's the scouting report on him?
Well, the weatherman hasn't hurt Mr. Kirkpatrick either. The wind is blowing out. It's only 295 down the left field line, and he is a strict pull hitter. I've never seen him hit the right field this entire tournament. So the wind will favor Mr. Kirkpatrick, but once in a while when you hit a couple of home runs, that's the worst thing you can do as a hitter, because a home run is a mishit ball. A perfectly hit ball is a line drive, and maybe he'll be trying to pressure himself tonight, and he'll try a little too hard, and then you might see a strikeout or a ground out for Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Now, Kirkpatrick will be pitching tonight for Quincy. And he's got pretty good heat. He'll throw in the neighborhood of the 80s. He's got a couple of pitches that he uses very well, but we hear from his coach, Mike Hellenthal, that he's got very fine control. Now, your estimation, what's Fargo going to have to do against this kid? Are they going to have to get on to him early?
Well, it's a unique combination for a pitcher to have a little power, a little speed, and to have control. You can combine those two. You can impress some people, some college scouts, some professional scouts. Fargo has never shied away from a kid who can bring the heat. They've always hit people who bring the fastball pretty well. They get in trouble with junkers. But Mike Hellenthal said this man's got a slider, he's got a curveball, and he's got a forkball that he'll ding around with once in a while. So he'll offer Fargo all they can handle, but from what they've seen Mr. Kirkpatrick pitch earlier in this tournament, Fargo thinks they can hit the man.
Well, let's talk about Fargo's pitching for just a moment. Bob Johnson getting the call tonight. Does he have enough left to come up with another fine performance? He went to distance the first night against St. Louis Park. He came in relief against Springfield, Missouri the other night, pitched very well. Mentally, it's a pretty taxing situation to be in, not to mention you can only wonder how much more can his arm take.
Well, he pitched 9 in the first round against St. Louis Park and then 2 in that mop-up win for Jeff Stevens. You've got to wonder that his arm can't be the same as it was in round 2. I don't know if Johnson can be as sharp as he was in game 1. Jerry Harder said it was one of the finest games Johnson has ever pitched. But if Fargo wants to give the ball to somebody, they want to give it to Johnson. He's been so consistent all year long. He's the man they want the job to be in the hands of.
Have they seen a curveball throughout this tournament, Quincy, the way they're going to see tonight that Johnson has got the capability of throwing?
Jerry Harder and Jeff Fichtner don't think so. They think Bob Johnson has the best curveball not only on the Fargo staff but in this tournament. And that's what they're going to have to do with Quincy. They're a great hitting team, but they've got to keep him off stride. Last night, maybe they didn't get him off stride enough. Kirkpatrick sat back on a couple of fat fastballs, and they got him up in the letters, and he said, see you later, put it in the Red River. Johnson's going to have to keep him off stride. Injury
situation this afternoon. Todd Thompson, the left fielder for Quincy, Illinois, did not play against West Dubuque County from Iowa, and he's going to play tonight. He's got a very sore shoulder, and his on-base percentage is so high, he reached base 4 out of 5 times last night. That's a guy I think that they're going to have in the lineup to make something happen if they're going to win this thing.
Well, Mike Hellenthal probably looks at it this way. If they lose tonight, Thompson's got a year to heal up. He's got to be in the lineup. He's not at full strength, but Hellenthal wants him in the lineup, and he's going to be in left field tonight.
You know, last night when Dan Foss put one in the corner in left field, I didn't think that Thompson had that great of an arm coming out of the hole in left field, and I kind of wondered at the time because it had pretty much of an arc on it. It wasn't a line shot throw to second. But you can only wonder if Fargo's going to be trying to pull the ball to work on his arm a little bit tonight.
Well, left fielders usually have the weakest arm in the outfield. That's where you can hide a weaker arm because they have the shorter throw to second and third base. If Jerry Harder knows it, if he's had a look, he may have Glass or Foss or one of the top hitters with some pretty good wheels, test them out right away and see just how healthy it is.
Well, we've got great pitching scheduled for tonight. We've got, we think timely hitting is on the way because both ball clubs have been able to do that. We'll talk with both coaches, a couple of the players, and we'll preview this game a little bit better right after this. Back at Jack Williams Stadium, Ed Schultz along with Dana Mock tonight. We're in our pregame show before the Central Plains Regional Baseball Championship game between Quincy, Illinois and Fargo, North Dakota. The winner of this ball game goes to the Legion World Series in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Dana, what does that mean to a team to be able to be one of the top 8 Legion ball clubs in the country to get that far? How select is that?
First of all, it's pretty select to get here, to get to the final game of our Regional World Series. To put it in perspective, Fargo, which has a great baseball tradition, Jerry Harder has been able to take in 21 years just one team to the College World Series, and that was back in 1969. That's the team that this team, the 1987 team, is being compared to as one of the best ever. And I guess if you can get to the World Series, well, that's quite an accomplishment, one of the 8 best teams in the country.
Mental advantage, is it going to be tough for Fargo to come back and play well against this team?
I don't think it is. When we chatted with Jerry Harder after last night's game, he did not think that Quincy, Illinois, when I think after he saw him play a game or two, did not think they would be here. He was more impressed with Papillion, Nebraska, with Springfield, Missouri. But this team has guts. They've been down and out before, and they've been able to come back. They were down to Fargo last night. They came back. They were within 1 strike and 1 out of being eliminated by Papillion, Nebraska. They lost their opening round game. Heavens, they've come back and won 4 straight. So you don't, when you look at them, you may not be impressed with them on the field, but what's impressive is their 1-loss record in this tournament and where they are right now. They're battling for a trip to the World Series.
Well, I think last night's ball game between Quincy and Fargo was certainly one of the tournament's best. We saw some fine pitching. We saw some big power hitting. Some of the highlights from that ball game last night. In the bottom of the 3rd inning, this kid, Mike Kirkpatrick, proved to all Fargo fans that he is a force to be reckoned with. He drills a 2-run homer to left field. It was his 21st home run of the season, and that made it 2-0 Quincy. Then later on in the top of the 5th inning, Shane Hitter singles to right field, and Dan Foss comes in to score, and this tied the game at 2. A big, big hit for Fargo at that point by Hitter. Then later on in the 7th inning, here's Brad Baker with a double to right field, and Tony Satter is going to come all the way around from first and score to make it 4-3 Fargo. Fargo took the lead in the 7th inning, but they were to give it up later on. In the bottom of the 7th, after an error and a walk, here he is again, Mike Kirkpatrick, and this one is just fair. And it's good enough for a 3-run homer. That made it 6-4 Quincy. And Fargo just couldn't get much going after that. But in the 9th inning, they pulled a big mistake. They had the bases loaded, and Ryan Wixow, maybe a little asleep, give credit to Quincy for making the defensive play as they picked Wixow off at second base, and they salvaged the win by a score of 6-4. Some people questioning whether that was a balk by the pitcher on that particular play.
It doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't. They're not going to replay it. Well, we saw some big power last night from Mike Kirkpatrick. Dana, what do they have to do? Is it worth walking the kid tonight 4 times? They're in such a big game to even pitch to that kid, because earlier today, the guy's definitely in a groove. Against the Iowa ball club today, he put 3 right down the left field line here. 2 of them were foul that would have been home runs, were 5 feet from being a grand slam.
Thank goodness he's a pull hitter. Maybe you've got to get him some junk. If he gets some junk, he's going to be so far ahead of it that he will pull it foul. But Jeff Fichtner says they're going to challenge him. That's the type of pitcher Jeff Fichtner was, and he has kind of molded this staff and in his own ways a little bit. And I don't think you can walk Kirkpatrick, but I think if the situation comes up again with first base open and Kirkpatrick on the line, I think maybe they'll be just a little more careful with him, doing a little more nibbling on the corners than pitching it down the pipe.
Well, last night's win for Quincy only brought them halfway home to the championship game. They had to play again this afternoon against West Dubuque, Iowa. And, of course, they came up with a very big win in that game, winning 7-1.
Quincy got off on the right foot today. In the very first inning, Brent Flesner, the center fielder, drilled a 2-run single, and Quincy was up on top by a score of 3-0. That was just after 1 inning of play. Then in the 3rd inning, they added to that. Lyle Martin drills this one deep. It's good enough for a sacrifice fly to score Tad Miller, and Quincy led 4-0. Iowa, they got on the scoreboard in the 4th inning. Mike Budden triples. This one goes to right center field. Tom Wegman scores, preventing the shutout. Quincy led by a score of 4-1. Then in the bottom of the fourth inning, Quincy's Chris Jones singles in last night's pitcher, Greg Gilbert. Quincy had a commanding lead by a score of 5-1. They put it in cruise control after that and relied on some good pitching and some great defense. Turned a double play here. Who was on the end of it? Mike Kirkpatrick. Quincy defeated West Dubuque, Iowa by a score of 7-1 and sent the Iowa champion back home from the Central Plains Regional Baseball Tournament.
We got two very fine pitchers going tonight. We got two ball clubs that have had stellar performances all season long. Fargo, a record 65 wins. This ball club coming through Illinois, they had to win 8 or 7 straight games just to get out of their district, to get into the division. Then they won the division, runner-up in the state. They're here. They lost their first game to this tournament, and then they've had to win 4 straight to get here. They know what pressure is all about. We're looking forward to it. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. Looking at tonight's ball game, it could be the last hurrah for Mike Hellenthal, the coach of the Quincy Ball Club. He's been the head coach of that Legion team for 15 years. He revived Legion baseball in that area. He's taken a job to be the athletic director at a school in Iowa, and he's supposed to be there now, but this ball club keeps winning right now, and he has mentioned on a number of occasions that this is a pretty emotional time for him right now, knowing that this is a special bunch of kids to come this far and to be this close to the World Series. And I can only imagine how much more intense this game could be, especially from Quincy's standpoint, with that in mind.
The coach is emotional, but he says we want to save all that stuff, all the hugging, all that kind of stuff for later. Right now we want to win this tournament. We want to get to the World Series in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And that's the right attitude to take. I don't think he wants to use that as a motivational factor for his team. He wants them to play as best they can, as they have done all tournament long and all season long.
Well, after today's ball game, when they defeated West Dubuque, Iowa, we found a very happy Mike Hellenthal in the dugout.
They've hung in there and lost the first game here, but we're around for the championship game. And it's really great to have a group of young men who have that kind of attitude and don't say die attitude.
Mike, where does this leave you mentally going into tonight's final game?
Oh, I feel great. I really do. After what we've been through to get here and what's happened while we've been here, and being able just to play in this tournament's been a great experience for our young men. And I think, we're going to come out and let it all hang out, basically. We feel good, and we're playing against a very good Fargo team, and I think it'll be a great game for the fans to come out and see.
It seems like you were playing very loose today. It looked like your ball club wasn't feeling any pressure at all.
No, we played that way all year. Our kids have been under the gun, and they've responded, and tonight we'll come out and we'll play well. Fargo will have to beat us, and we'll play hard, as we always do, and I think that's been a trademark of this team. If you watch them over a period of games, you see that they do play hard, and they want to win, and they won't hang their head if they get behind. They'll hang in there, and as we showed earlier in this tournament, we're always there when it counts.
Considering tonight's game, how important was it for you to get a lot of work out of Miller today?
Extremely important. That's his second fine ball game in this tournament. He beat mine at 12-0 with a one-hitter on Thursday, and he came back today with basically 2 days rest and gave us 9 good innings, and that really helps our staff, and that's all to his credit. He's really had a fine tournament up there.
Okay, what about tonight's game? You got Kirkpatrick on the mound, is that correct? What about that?
Mike's, he's been there for us before in these kind of ball games. He's a money pitcher, and he likes those situations. He's a competitor, as you saw last night at the plate. He's the same way on the mound. He's going to give it his best shot, and our kids like playing behind him because he throws strikes, and it's fun to play defense when a pitcher throws strikes.
What's his best pitch?
Well, Mike moves the ball around. His fastball is the best pitch, but he moves it around. He throws a forked ball and a curved ball, and he's a competitor on the mound, and you like that kind of individual in a big game.
Mike, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Smooth operator, Mike Hellenthal. I like him.
He's a nice guy. I think he really treats the kids well, and really has a pretty good rapport with them, and they like playing for him, obviously.
They make no bones about pinning a lot of hopes on Mike Kirkpatrick tonight. The kid who hit 2 home runs last night, produced 5 RBIs as Quincy beat Fargo by a score 6-4. Tonight, Kirkpatrick will be on the mound. He's looking forward to the pressure of winning tonight's game.
Well, I think we played better with our backs against the wall. We come out in the first game, and we knew we had 2 to lose, and we made some errors, and we played relaxed, I think. I think tonight we know these go down to the line. We win this game, we go to the World Series, and Quincy never made it to state in 35 years. And we're really proud to be here, and we want to show the state of North Dakota how Illinois can play baseball, too.
Mike Hellenthal, your coach, has a lot of praise for you. Says you're a money player. Do you want to be on the mound tonight? Is this your game?
Yeah, I really do. I'd like to pitch under pressure, and I hope I rise to the occasion tonight against Fargo.
You've been able to hit the ball well. You've got a good number of home runs this year, I believe 22. You've had some success in this ballpark. You like this ballpark?
I do a lot. I wish I played here more often. Really, the line's 295. The wind blowing out right now. Any right-handed hitter likes this ballpark.
You've had no trouble pulling the ball. Is that a characteristic of you?
Yes, I'm a pull hitter. Had trouble going the other way. So I do stand pretty close to the plate, and I do pull a lot of balls.
From a mental standpoint, how tough is it going to be to beat Fargo twice?
Well, we know with the fans they have, the pretty loyal fans, that it's going to be tough. But we beat them last night. I think we know we can beat them if we play our best game. Of course, they'll come out and try to play their best game, too. It's going to be a great ball game.
Now, last night, this club only had 6 hits against Fargo, and 2 of your hits produced 5 runs. Are you going to have to do more damage in that to be successful?
No, I think our team will come around. All through the year, different people have picked up. If it wasn't somebody hitting in the runs, it'd be somebody else picking it up another week. It's always been that way. I think tonight, another person will pick it up.
Okay, getting back to your pitching for a moment, what do you feel most comfortable with? What do you have to have working for you tonight?
Control. If I can keep the ball around the plate, in and out, I think I'll do a good job.
Mike, good luck to you.
Thanks a lot.
You're watching Legion Baseball on Fargo Television, WDAY. We'll be back with more on our pregame show in a moment. Ed Schultz back with Dana Mock tonight, live from Jack Williams Stadium in our pregame show. We're moments away from the Fargo-Quincy, Illinois baseball game. The winner goes to the World Series in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Dana, let's get particular about what Fargo has to do tonight. Can they afford to have David Glass go 0 for 5 at the plate again and beat this ball club? How important is he?
He doesn't have to get a hit, but he does have to get on. He really does have to get on base. Mike Hellenthal knows that he's a catalyst, and he said we're going to do everything to keep him off the base. Last night, he went 0 for 5, and Fargo loses. He comes into this tournament with a 400 average in this tournament. Until last night, he was hitting 500. Well, 0 for 5 hurts your average in a little tournament like this. So, yes, David Glass has got to get on, but a bright spot is Dan Foss, I think. He was struggling until last night, and he got a couple of big hits, and Dan Foss has got to feel like he's back in the groove.
Jerry Harder, of course, has been around a long time in his 21st year coaching this ball club, and he's got some very fine assistant coaches, and I think you certainly know him better than most people in the media. What does Jay Harder, his son, mean, and also Jeff Fichtner mean to the total program?
Jay Harder, better known as Buck. He was the bat boy when I played here, and Jeff Fichtner, I had the pleasure of playing with Jeff, and it is a pleasure to play with Jeff. He's such an upbeat guy. The players flock to Jeff this year because he has that professional experience. He's also overcome a battle with cancer. He's a real fun guy to be around. And what those players have done, and Jerry Harder said this himself one day when we were having lunch, he said, you know, every year I come back, I get a year older, but every time I come here and coach, the kids are the same age, and that gap just grows and grows and grows. What Jeff Fichtner and Jay Harder have done is close that gap. They're pretty close to the players, and they kind of work as a bridge between Jerry and the players.
Well, Jay Harder sets the defensive scheme for Fargo, while Jeff Fichtner deals a lot with the pitching. Dana had a chance to speak with him moments ago.
Jay, where's the mental attitude of this ball club? Is the momentum in the favor of Quincy since they beat you last night? They won again today, and now they're here facing you in a winner-take-all situation?
Well, no, I don't think the momentum is in their ballpark necessarily. I think that we were the unbeaten team coming in last night. They might have a certain degree of momentum in that they beat us last night, but we both have one loss in the tournament. That makes up for a lot of different factors. They're going to have to beat us once, and we're going to have to beat them once in this game, and that's going to decide it. I think our kids are ready to play.
Jerry said last night the 2 home runs, they were key, but they weren't the key. They said infield defense and a couple of walks really hurt them. How critical is infield defense tonight? How perfect do you have to be?
Well, you have to be able to make quite a few plays at this level. The regional tournament, there's a lot of good teams with a lot of good defense. What you've got to do is limit the amount of base runners that can get on. A kid such as this Kirkpatrick that hit a couple of home runs last night, that might happen to you on any given night. What you want to try to do is keep the runners off base, try to keep that home run to a solo shot, maybe a triple to scoring nobody, if anybody at all. So keeping runners off base is definitely important at this stage of the year.
What's Fargo's approach to this game? Are the kids up? Did they get over last night's loss?
Oh, yeah, they're over that that loss. They don't have that at all in the back of their mind. They're looking forward to playing tonight, and they got something to prove, I think.
Jay, thanks very much. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Jay Harder, one of the assistant coaches here. Jeff Fichtner is the pitching coach tonight, and Fargo goes with Bob Johnson, the man who won in round 1 against Minnesota State champion St. Louis Park. The decision to pitch Bob Johnson, how critical is his performance tonight, first of all?
First of all, the decision to pitch him, there was no question. He has been, especially the last month in August, or this last month, you know, during the tournaments, he's thrown by far the best of all our pitching staff. Tonight, performance will be the key if he can get his fastball and his curveball across for play. If he can throw both for strikes, there's no doubt in my mind that I think he can win the ball game for us.
How fresh is he? He pitched 9 first round, he pitched 2 to pick up the save in Stevens' win.
The pitchers that pitch on this squad run a lot, I guarantee you that, and they're ready to go. They're in good shape.
You're not worried about his arm, you're worried about his legs.
No, I'm not worried about anything. I really think he'll do the job. I really do. He's run enough to be strong enough to go 9 innings. He's thrown 9 innings the beginning or the first game. He came back and threw a little relief, just what I wanted, and he threw well then, and he's strong tonight, and I think he'll do the job.
What are you going to tell Bob Johnson when Mike Kirkpatrick steps to the plate?
Go after him. I really don't think he'll hurt Bobby.
Why not? He hit 2 last night. Is there any reason to believe he wouldn't hit one tonight to win it?
Yeah, there is. He can definitely hit it. There's no doubt. He's a good hitter. He's got the little uppercut swing. He gets the ball up in there. The ball could carry out of this park real easy, but I just feel that Bobby will keep him off base, and that 1 run's not going to win the ball game.
If Johnson falters, who's left?
We'll probably go with either Stevens or anything.
Good luck, Coach.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Jay Harder and Jeff Fichtner, assistant coaches with the Fargo Legion baseball team. We're moments away from the first pitch tonight. Stick around. We've got the starting lineups, and we're going to play ball after this.
Introduce the non-starters for Fargo.
On Wednesday, the Central Plains Regional Tournament started with 8 teams. All had the dream of reaching the Legion World Series in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. The road to the championship game has left 6 teams behind, all with a different story to tell. For North Dakota State champion Minot, they felt the embarrassment of a quick exit, going scoreless in 2 games. Minnesota State champion St. Louis Park came into the Central Plains tournament with numbers that made them a tournament favorite. Park fell to Fargo's curveballer Bob Johnson, and mental mistakes made the trip to Fargo a mere 2-game road trip. Rapid City had the tradition of winning the South Dakota State title for the past 18 years. 2 recent trips to Fargo in '79 and '83 produced regional titles for this ball club. But in 1987, Rapid City may have gone a tournament too far. Springfield, Missouri impressed tournament fans early, but Fargo's Jeff Stevens held the talented Springfield team in check, and relief help from Johnson dealt Springfield a loss they would never recover from. For West Dubuque County, Iowa, the timely hits just never came, and the momentum was with Quincy, Illinois' Tad Miller, who allowed only 1 run in Dubuque's second loss. And then there was hard luck Papillion, Nebraska, a team that battled to the finish with speed, pitching, and great defense. 2 heartbreaking back-to-back extra inning losses just displayed to tournament fans what it meant to move on. To the championship game arrives Quincy, Illinois, and Fargo, North Dakota. The hard-hitting, hard-stopping bunch from Illinois lost their opener, but has battled back to win 4 straight to reach the championship game. Is playing out the dream season. A record 65 wins and pitching that has been consistent all year. For 2 coaches, Mike Hellenthal and Jerry Harder, it's been years of dedication and dreams. And tonight's game will be a special moment for what already has been 2 brilliant baseball careers. It's the 1987 Central Plains Regional Baseball Tournament. Tonight, it's the championship game between Fargo and Quincy, Illinois. Tonight's game is brought to you by ABC Seamless, Metropolitan Federal Bank, Selling Pontiac GMC, FM Ready Mix, Computerland, Hall GMC.
Thank you, Jack. I'd like to take credit for it, too. A wonderful bunch of guys that have been running this tournament and are continuing to do so. They worked long, they worked hard, they worked for many months before the tournament. I'd like you to give them a big hand. That wasn't able to repeat after me. Go to Sportsman, Heritage of Baseball. I will keep the rules, keep faith with my teammates, keep my temper, keep myself fit, keep a stout heart in defeat, keep my pride under in victory, keep a sound soul, a clean mind, and a healthy body. Thank you.
Roger Sergeant, leading that left, John Warren line.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare upon bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, and our spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Unplug that.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Jack Williams Stadium in Fargo, North Dakota. We have got a great ball game on hand for you tonight. Thank you for joining us. Ed Schultz along with Dana Mock. It's the championship game of the 1987 Central Plains Regional Baseball Tournament. The winner goes to Stevens Point, Wisconsin in the Legion World Series. The starting lineups have been set for both of these ball clubs. It should be a great one. We're going to see 2 fine pitchers going against one another tonight. Bob Johnson for Fargo, Mike Kirkpatrick for Quincy, Illinois. Kirkpatrick delivering 2 home runs last night, including 5 RBIs. Will be on the mound tonight. He's got a .440 batting average. He's a big kid, 6'3", 190 pounds, can throw some heat, and he will definitely come after this Fargo lineup. Fargo, once again, is the visiting team on the scoreboard. Certainly one of the unusual things that has taken place throughout this tournament.
They're hot when it comes to coin tosses, I'll tell you that. 0 for 5.
Quincy takes the field, and what a beautiful night for baseball or for anything it is here in Fargo tonight. It's going to get a little bit nippy. Good crowd is on hand. It's not full, but certainly the best crowd of the tournament that we've seen here in the past several days. You're watching Mike Kirkpatrick, who is number 18. He's 12-3 on the season. He's 6'3", 190 pounds, plays first base when he's not pitching, and he does a whole lot of damage at the plate.
Last night, if last night was any indication, well, the flag's blowing out. Mr. Kirkpatrick probably go up there with eyes as big as saucers. Here's the Fargo starting lineup.
David Glass, who had a highly unusual evening last night, going 0 for 5. Dan Foss, Rob Hansen, Shane Hitter, Tony Satter, Ryan Wixow behind the plate. Brad Dean will start in right field. He did not start last night, although he did see a couple of appearances at the plate. Brad Baker will be at third base. And Bob Johnson, who went the distance in game number 1 against St. Louis Park and then added relief help to help out Jeff Stevens to win against Springfield, Missouri, will be starting tonight. I'll tell you what, if that kid makes it through the distance tonight against this ball club, they can just have him Superman, because, or at least give him share MVP honors, because he's done one heck of a job for Fargo to this point.
Or at least buy him some Ben Gay for his arm, because his arm will be sore after this tournament.
Jerry Harder in his 21st year as head coach of the Fargo Legion team. You're seeing Al Klein behind the plate, and David Glass will be the first batter tonight. Klein, a very fine arm. So fine he threw that one into center field. He's just getting warmed up.
Quit showing off, Al.
So David Glass batting a very fine .405 coming into this tournament. And until last night, he had really had a very fine tournament.
He'll be patient at the plate. He'll make Kirkpatrick throw strikes, and Dave Glass is one of the best hitters, the best eyes on the team.
First pitch of the night from the big fella. High and inside for a ball. He may be one of the fastest pitchers in this tournament.
Strike zone gets a little small on championship night.
Dana, could we be looking at a fatigue factor tonight, seeing that Quincy has played a game today?
That could be a factor, but I think adrenaline and emotion will take over, and you won't see any fatigue at all, unless they get behind and get down. But Quincy has not shown they have that in their character yet this season.
The 2-1 pitch goes high, and David Glass well ahead of Mike Kirkpatrick, the pitcher, right now. The sun is just dipping down underneath the trees now in western North Dakota, and it's getting nippy. And there's a nice defensive play by Jeff Zanger at first base. So David Glass almost had a little Texas leaguer to start this thing out.
And Zanger is the man who is taking over first base when Kirkpatrick is on the hill. Zanger has been mostly used as a pinch hitter this year. He's a catcher first baseman, proving he can use the big glove as well as the big mitt.
Well, we found out early on that they're not going to be hurting defensively at first base. Dan Foss, who had a very fine evening last night, had a big run-scoring double for Fargo. And if you're going to pick an all-tournament team, this kid would be on the lineup. Fouls that one back, evens the count at 1-1.
He'd have to be the left-handed starting pitcher on that all-tournament team after an 11-inning win over Papillion, Nebraska. Went the distance, faced just 5 over the minimum.
Fouls back another one. When Kirkpatrick comes off that rubber, he's coming full force. He has got a big push to the plate.
He's got some G-forces behind that fastball.
2 RBIs last night for Danny Foss.
Finally came to life after kind of an off tournament for him. He was just 2 of 13 going into last night's game.
Takes a call strike. So that'll be strikeout number 1 on the evening for Mike Kirkpatrick.
Third batter, number 8. Second baseman,
Rob Hansen, the second baseman, now up for Fargo. Hansen 1 for 5 on the evening last night against this Quincy ball club. You got to give Greg Gilbert, who's now in right field, a lot of credit for the way he pitched last night, because he did, for the most part, handcuff the first 3 batters of this Fargo lineup. The bouncer, it could be trouble, and that's a shot to center field. And the first man on base tonight for Fargo is the second baseman, Rob Hansen. Shane Hitter now will step to the plate for Fargo.
The left fielder, Shane Hitter.
Lyle Martin and Chris Jones just didn't have a shot at that one. It wasn't hit too terribly hard, but it was placed perfectly.
Seeing eye single, and Hansen quietly continues to have the red-hot bat for the Fargo Legion team.
Shane Hitter, the left fielder, batting .359 coming into the tournament. Has kind of an unusual throwing motion in left field. Jerry says when they get the kids down on their knees or work on their arm, he's got good elbow action, but then as soon as they stand him up, he drops her down like a sidewinder. You think you're watching Kent DeColvey in left field toss her in.
Well, he's made a few catches from his knees in this tournament.
If you just joined us, there's no score. We're in the top of the first, 2 outs. Rob Hansen on first base after an up-the-gut single. And this is Shane Hitter taking a call strike to even the count at 1-1. Tony Satter on deck. And Ryan Wixo, the catcher, is in the hole. Kirkpatrick out of the stretch, comes with a changeup. Outside. Patience at the plate. I don't think Fargo was a victim of not being patient last night. I think we've seen him stay a little consistent, as you see the catcher, Al Klein.
He'll test his arm.
They go over to first base to Zanger. Klein this afternoon playing against the Iowa Ball Club threw out a couple of base stealers. And this one is going to be an easy out to Chris Jones, and that'll retire the side. So Quincy picking up where they left off in the first inning, giving up no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on. Here you see Bob Johnson warming up for Fargo. I don't know if he wants to warm up too much. He's got to save every pitch at this point.
You just never know when his arm's going to go. He's had a lot of work in this tournament.
In fact, I'm surprised they're not going to just microwave that arm and have him go out and start heaving. But he's taking his usual warm-up on the mound, obviously. And the first batter he'll face will be Greg Gilbert, who was on the mound last night against this Fargo team, but now is in right field. And when he was pulled, he went to right field in the latter part of the ball game. Regional tournament stats for Bob Johnson. He's gone 10 1/3 innings. He's given up only 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, and he's K'd 7 players. Pretty good numbers.
You're allowed 12 innings of work in 3 days. This is day number 4, so he's got a fresh 12 to start working with. Hopefully he won't need them all tonight.
Greg Gilbert will lead it off, followed by Chris Jones, the second baseman. Tad Miller pitched this afternoon and pitched extremely well against West Dubuque County, Iowa. Mike Kirkpatrick again in the cleanup. Lyle Martin, the center fielder, Brent Fleshner. Todd Thompson did not play today. He's in left field. He's got a very sore arm, but they got to let it all hang out here in the title game. Al Klein behind the plate. The only change in the lineup, Jeff Zanger is at first base, obviously there because Kirkpatrick is pitching tonight. Gilbert was 0 for 4 last night, but he turned in a very fine pitching performance as the ball goes down to second base to Rob Hansen. Be anxious to see just how many curveballs will be coming out of Johnson's hand tonight. Will he go right to it, or will he test this ball club?
He told us when he gets tired, he throws curveballs. I would think he'd have to go to curveball early because his arm has seen some work in this tournament, and his fastball may not have the pop he'd like it to have.
Gilbert drills one to center field. Dan Foss is over to make the play. So the first pitch on the night thrown at Quincy's Gilbert is a big hit. Single for Mr. Gilbert.
Second baseman Chris Jones.
Just trying to get ahead of the hitter. Going to throw a strike and hopefully sneak one by him. And Gilbert's got the green light. They're going to jump on Johnson early and see if they can knock him out of the box.
Chris Jones, the second baseman, was 1 for 3 last night. And there goes Gilbert. He's running. Wixo with the throw, and he's going to be in there safe. So Mike Ellenthal's ball club coming out with a big single and a stolen base right off the bat.
They're going to be aggressive right off the bat. Johnson has a high leg kick, so it's pretty easy to get a nice jump off of him. And Gilbert's got good speed. They attempted some steals last night, and that was after Mike Hellenthal said they don't like to steal bases.
And of course, they may have heard that Ryan Wixo's shoulder isn't the best it's been all year. And the first strike thrown tonight by Bob Johnson. That evens the count at 1-1. The curveball, it's in the hole. And Gilbert, he'll hold up at third base. So with nobody out, here in the bottom of the first, Quincy is threatening with runners on the corner, and stepping to the plate now is Tad Miller, the third sacker with a .310 batting average, 4 home runs, and 37 RBI. The numbers on him last night, respectable, 1 for 3 and a run batted in. Gilbert on third. Jones on first. Miller at the plate. Nobody out. Johnson fires some heat for a strike.
Miller is the man who kept Quincy alive in the Papillion, Nebraska 11-inning game. He had a 2-out double in the bottom of the ninth to score the winning run. So they can thank him a little bit for appearing in the championship game tonight.
And this will be over to the first baseman, Glass, and a run is going to score. Gilbert is in on the error. David Glass couldn't quite get the mitt on it that time. And they will score that as an error as we look at it again.
Something Jerry Harder did not want to see, a poor start by his ball club. They're kind of down in the trenches anyway after last night's win. Now David Glass makes a rare error. He didn't make any at all during the year. In fact, he made just 6.
Mike Kirkpatrick puts one to Tony Satter. And Fargo can't get anybody out. And the run's going to come in. This is Jones, the play at the plate. And this is about the worst we've seen Fargo throughout the entire tournament. Whether it's the jitters or what, so far it belongs to Quincy, Illinois. Jones, the heads-up play, saw the wild throw to first place and came around for the score.
This is what Bob Johnson wanted, a perfect double play ball. Tony just kind of took his eye off the ball once he bobbled it. Then he tries to gun, and this is a mistake a lot of shortstops will make. They'll try and make up for their error by doing something spectacular. Threw it away. That allowed the runner from second to come across and score.
So Fargo visibly shaken here in the early going. It is 2-0. Gilbert and Jones have scored for Quincy. That one fouled back. Lyle Martin, the shortstop, in the batter's box now for Quincy. Nobody out, and 2 runs in.
And it should be 2 outs with a runner on third, if Fargo would have turned that double play.
Fargo in this first stanza, before even having an out on the board, they've got 2 errors to their credit. Martin, he drills this one, and Foss can't get to it. It's going to clear the bag. Jones is going to score. Miller and Kirkpatrick. And now in for a triple is Lyle Martin. A 2-run triple by Lyle Martin has really broken this thing open here.
Similar start to their game this afternoon against West Dubuque, Iowa. An 0-2 count. Johnson hangs the curveball. That may be a sign of fatigue, not being able to snap it off like he'd like to. It rolls to the deepest part of the field, and even a man like Foss with his great wheels can't get to it before it gets to the fence. And Kirkpatrick and Miller score easily, and Martin has a stand-up triple to his credit.
Jeff Fichtner, the pitching coach for Fargo now, is going to come out and talk it over with Bob Johnson and Ryan Wixow. And who would have ever thought this would have happened? Fargo quickly has been tagged for 3 hits and a couple of errors and 4 runs here in the first at bat. And the bad news is nobody's out. Quincy playing some excellent baseball right now. They're on top of their game. They look fresh. They look quick. And Fargo's in trouble.
And this 4-run first inning is only adding to the confidence Quincy already has.
This is the same ball club that just 2 days ago was 1 pitch away from extinction in this tournament. But they're in pretty great shape right now. And Brent Flesner, the center fielder, steps to the plate with Lyle Martin on third base after a 2-run triple. What do you think he told Bob on the mound?
Settle down. There's a lot of innings left. Just pitch your best. Just do what you can do and go as long as you can, and then we'll get you some help.
The 4 runs on the board equal what Fargo did in 9 innings against this club last night. Fargo's going to have to get to the plate and make it happen. Shot to Johnson. Fleshner's out at first. 1 down here in the bottom of the first. Martin on third base as you see Fleshner going back to the dugout. Todd Thompson steps to the plate. He did not play in today's game as you see Jerry Harder. What do you think Jerry's thinking right now, Dana?
Hard to say with Jerry. He's probably a little ticked off with those mosquitoes that are bugging him around his ears. Right now, he's laid back. He's not going to get too upset just yet. He's going to pat him on the back and say, come on, we're still in this thing. Don't give up. And it's been a trademark of this team. When they've lost a game during the year, Jerry said it's been very refreshing to see him come out in the second game of a doubleheader and just hammer somebody. He said it's a tough team to beat twice. Although you wouldn't know that by the start of this game.
Thompson takes the 2-0 count. Well, they have to realize they're not playing Minot, Grand Forks, and Wahpeton, and Jamestown. And, I mean, this is regional championship competition here as Thompson takes the cut there to make it 2-1. I can't believe Dave Glass had a tough time fielding that one. That just is not Dave Glass.
Not at all.
The 1-2 pitch. It's high. We're in the bottom of the first. Quincy leads Fargo 4-0. There's 1 out. The 3-1 pitch. And he gets Thompson fishing on that one.
Pulled the string on that pitch. Thompson was way out ahead of that one.
The 3-2 pitch is fouled off by Thompson. You know they worked over his arm. This afternoon he could not raise his arm above his shoulder. How he's going to throw tonight's beyond me.
He'll just have to keep thinking of Stevens Point, Wisconsin, the World Series. That'll help his arm heal a little bit.
The 3-2 pitch goes inside, and he'll take a base on ball. Al Klein, the catcher, now steps to the plate for Quincy, Illinois, as Miller is on third base and Thompson's on first.
Al Klein.
Klein at the plate. And Fargo in trouble, giving up 4 runs here in the bottom of the first. He was 2 for 4 last night, Klein was. Thompson on first. On third is Miller. And Johnson.
Kirkpatrick is not the only Quincy, Illinois player with a little home run power. Klein hit one this afternoon in their win over West Dubuque, Iowa. Quincy may run a little bit here. They know Fargo's having trouble hanging onto the ball. They may force things to happen. They may send Thompson.
Mike Hellenthal saying that they don't steal very much. That's all we've seen them do. Johnson goes high and inside with that one. 2-0 is the count. The 2-0 pitch. Klein goes after it. Good crowd on hand here tonight. Best we've seen in the tournament. There goes Thompson. Wixo goes down to second. The cutoff by Hansen. They're going to get Martin or Miller at third, and yes, they get him. Nice play defensively for Fargo, so that's got to lift them mentally here in the bottom of the first. Despite giving up 4, they get 2 outs now. As you see, Martin on third base, Thompson with the steal.
Something Fargo works on every day in practice, the first and third situation. Catcher throws just like he's thrown to the bag. The second baseman comes in because he's got the clear view if the guy's going to go. If he's not going to go, he lets the ball go. Satter puts a tag on it. If he sees the guy go, he cuts it off and nails the man either at the plate or at third base.
Great play by Fargo that time. 2 outs. Thompson on second. Klein. He pops it up. Playable to David Glass at first base. He'll drop just out of the infield for the play. A very damaging inning for Quincy, Illinois, as they scored 4 runs on 3 hits, 2 errors, and 1 man left on base.
Will be picked up by our ball shankers, dressed in the red shirt saying American Legion Baseball Shankers. If you get a foul ball, we ask that you turn it over to one of our...
You see the moon high atop the skies in Fargo, North Dakota tonight. And that baby is out of here. Hope we can say a few phrases like that tonight with Fargo at the plate. You see our center field camera, operated by Kerry Shelton. Dave Wee on the third base dugout, Bernie Just on the first base dugout, and Brian, I can take anything waltz. On top of the clubhouse.
Putting a baseball to the ribs.
Tony Satter's the batter. Satter 1 for 4 on the night, last night. Kirkpatrick, who is now definitely has some breathing room with a 4-run lead as we go to the top of the second inning. Fargo looking, to say the least, a little flat.
Fargo's just got to start chipping away. 1 here, 1 there.
Kirkpatrick came with some heat that time. It was in the dirt. Satter sees the count go to 2-1. The 3-1 pitch fills the house at 3-2. All it takes is a couple of singles to get that adrenaline going. Kirkpatrick coming with heat, and he strikes out Satter looking. So Kirkpatrick picking up where he left off the last inning. As you see Tony Satter going back to the dugout. Ryan Wixo to the plate now for Fargo. Mike Kirkpatrick showing good speed here in the early going. Wixo 2 for 5 on the night last night against Quincy, and that 6-4 win by the Illinois Ball Club. Wixo goes after that one. even the count at 1-1.
He doesn't become a hitter until he gets 2 strikes on him, though.
A little high. Now, you mentioned last night he's probably the best 2-strike hitter on the ball club, and he's proven that on a number of occasions in this tournament. Now the crew chief umpire behind the plate getting the little dudes over there next to the Fargo dugout trying to get them out of there. Kid has the best seat in the house. They're taking it from him.
One too many bat boys. It's a Legion rule that bat boys have to wear helmets, and one of them was not wearing a helmet.
Now the count goes to 2-2 as Wixo fouled that one back into Klein's mitt. Couldn't even come close to that one, and now Kirkpatrick has K'd the last 2 with 2 outs here in the top of the second.
This is the pitch Fargo's got to lay off. It's climbing the ladder on him, getting him up in the letters and able to run it away a little bit, and that's a tough pitch to hit. Tough to get the barrel of the bat around that quick, especially if a pitcher is throwing in the 80s.
Brad Dean checks into the batter's box now. Dean, the right fielder, sees a curveball go for a ball.
Mike Hellenthal hit it on the head this afternoon. He said we'd like to score some runs and take the crowd out of it. You can hear a pin drop here.
As soon as that ball game was over this afternoon, we were in the dugout over there with Quincy. Kids were talking about winning it all. And Brad Dean's going to drop one into right field to get Fargo going here in the top of the second. For the second inning in a row, Fargo has been able to get a man on base with a single with 2 outs, though. Their hits are coming just a shade late.
Batter, number 11. Third baseman.
Got to bunch them together.
Brad Baker, the 3rd sacker, into the batter's box now for Fargo. You're right, they have taken the crowd out of it. Well, the way Quincy's played and the way things have gone, 4 runs is a bundle. Baker sees one go low for a ball. Baker 1 for 4 on the night last night.
And it's not only the Quincy offense that has taken the crowd out of it, it's the Fargo defense. You know, you can applaud defensive plays too, but Fargo hasn't had one yet.
There's a shot, but Fleshner should be able to get it, and he does, and that will retire the side as Baker flies out to center field. And once again, Kirkpatrick is out of the inning with giving up no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. So we go to the bottom of the second, and Quincy, Illinois is determined to get to Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Stick around after the ball game tonight. We'll have News Center 6 and then Star Search, followed by the ABC Sunday night movie, Close Encounters of the Third Time. Third kind, should I say. Maybe I was thinking Fargo doesn't want to play this team for the 3rd time.
Fargo's got to get a close encounter with home plate, score some runs.
Jeff Zanger, the first baseman, goes to the batter's box now, and Bob Johnson, in his first inning of work, threw 24 pitches and faced 8 batters and gave up 4 runs. But he didn't get much help with 2 errors in the field. And the first pitch here in the second inning was a strike, and that one's in the dirt to even the count at 1-1. Whereas in 2 innings of work, Kirkpatrick has thrown 32 pitches, and he has allowed only 2 players on base, giving up 2 hits. Zanger, the 1-1 pitch, and he gets a hold of this one. And a nice grab in left field by Shane Hitter. So Fargo playing better defense early on. That first out's a big one.
Johnson isn't fooling anybody yet. Another line shot, this one off the bat of Zanger, and Hitter, who leads the tournament in catches and left on his knees, makes yet another one. Doesn't matter how they look, just so they get them done.
Gilbert now on the plate, singled and scored in the first inning. He got it going. In fact, with the first pitch of the ball game, he put it into center field. Two and oh's the count. When does the frustration level set in for Bob Johnson? How important is this inning and the next inning to believe that he really can stay out there and get the job done?
It's very important, not only for himself but for his teammates. He's the man they've gone to all year long, and he is rarely disappointed. Well, he's been disappointing so far, and so is the whole Fargo team with a couple of errors. But if he can settle down and go scoreless for a couple of innings, Fargo will be able to shake off that bad start and at least get a better taste back in their mouth.
The 3-1 pitch, and a nice curveball by Johnson that time. That fills the board at 3-2. 1 out, 4-0. We're in the bottom of the second. The 3-2 pitch, it's hit to left field. Hitter's going to have to play it off a bounce, and that'll be a nice single for Greg Gilbert. And he's 2 for 2 on the night. One single going to center. The second time up, an opposite field single to left. So Chris Jones, who singled and scored in his last at bat in the first inning, he plays second base for Quincy, Illinois. 1 out. Johnson goes to first to Glass.
You remember in the first inning, Gilbert didn't waste any time. He took second base right off the bat.
On the second pitch of the game. Wixo checking the runner.
Gilbert played college ball last year at Lewis and Clark. That's an NAIA power. In fact, it's usually between Lewis and Clark and Grand Canyon College for the NAIA National Championship.
Jones takes a call strike, evens the count at 1-1. School starts in Fargo tomorrow. It feels like fall with this weather tonight. Loyal fans bundled up here at the ballpark. The 1-1 pitch. Gilbert's going. The toss by Wixo. It's going to be a little late. And it goes into center field. And Foss is going to have to make the play to Baker at third, but not before Gilbert can get there. And the crafty base runner has quickly gotten himself over to third base. And that'll be an error on the throw. And that'll be the third error on the night. Nice curveball by Johnson that time.
Gilbert again stole off the pitcher, and this is lackadaisical play by the Fargo infield. You got to get over and sit on that ball. You got to get in front of it. You cannot let it go into center field. First of all, the second baseman's got to sit on it, and then the shortstop should be there regardless. And Satter was a little late. Fargo just seems to be back on their heels a bit tonight. They're not on their toes, not on the balls of their feet like they were the first 4 games of this tournament.
Gilbert on third base with 1 out. Chris Jones at the plate. Bottom of the second. Quincy threatening again. That one goes high, and it'll put Jones on first base. And this is the same scenario that we had the last inning. We had Gilbert and Jones on the corners with 1 out. To the plate comes Tad Miller.
Third baseman Tad Miller.
Miller reached on an error, on Glass's error, the last time at the plate. Down the third base line, it goes foul.
A little double play would really boost the morale of Fargo and maybe take a little wind out of the sail of Quincy, Illinois.
What Fargo could use right here is a double play and get out of the inning without giving up a run to get into the game mentally and psychologically give them a little boost. There goes Jones to second, uncontested. Gilbert on third, Jones on second. Miller at the plate. That's the 4th stolen base for Quincy, Illinois here. There's 1 out in the bottom of the 2nd. Jerry Harder standing up now in the dugout, trying to look this thing over. You got the big fella on deck, Mike Kirkpatrick. Tad Miller batting .310, 4 home runs, 37 RBI coming into the tournament. The 2-1 pitch, and it's a toss. Here it is to left field. Hitter's going to be over to make the play. He does, but Gilbert's going to tag up and score. And Jones advances to third base, and now it is 5-0. So Quincy, Illinois, relentless in their pursuit of runs tonight. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 2nd, they lead 5-0. And Tad Miller with a sacrifice fly to left field, scoring Greg Gilbert. And now what do you do with the big fella? Mike Kirkpatrick. Brad Baker couldn't handle it. It was a little too hot, and Jones scores on the single. And now it's 6-0. Kirkpatrick taking the first pitch to left field.
Stevens Point is getting farther and farther away for the host team. That's a tough play for the third baseman. It's an easy RBI for Kirkpatrick.
Chopper down the first baseline by Lyle Martin goes foul. He tripled in the first inning, bringing in 2 runs. And now it's 6-0, 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. Fargo's got to get some base runners, or maybe I'm looking too far ahead. They got to get out of this inning. Kirkpatrick on first. A nice shot by Martin. Foss should be able to make the play and retire the side. He does. So again, Quincy doing damage, this time for 2 runs. As we go to the top of the 3rd inning, Quincy leaves, getting 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 man left on base. Fargo needs some runs as we go to the top of the 3rd. This fall, starting September 11th on WDAY, it's the Rocky Hager Football Show. Friday nights at 6:30, new time slot. We're looking forward to it. And 1 week, check that, 6 days from today, Jake Christensen Stadium at Concordia College is the site of the annual clash between the Cobras and the Dragons. We'll have the call for you right here on WDAY. The 9th batter and the 1st and 2nd batters will be coming up here for Fargo in the top half of the 3rd inning. Bob Johnson, the pitcher, with a .329 average, and he gets a hold of this one. It could be trouble for Thompson, but he makes the play. Best hit ball of the night for Fargo.
That's why Thompson's in left field, despite a sore shoulder.
He can cover some ground.
That's exactly right.
And here's the first baseman, Dave Glass.
David Glass lined out to the first baseman in his first at bat tonight. Fouls that one off. We're at the top of the 3rd, and Quincy has taken a commanding 6-0 lead here with 1 out. The 0-1 pitch. And Kirkpatrick constantly getting ahead of the hitters tonight.
Just the opposite of what Bob Johnson is doing.
That one's right down the horn. Glass watches it go, and he'll carry Lumber back to the dugout. And it just seems to be getting easier for Kirkpatrick.
The center fielder, Dan.
That's his 4th strikeout. And Dan Foss comes to the plate, and he too struck out in the first inning. Kirkpatrick a little low with the heat that time. Miller, is he going to have a shot at it? What a play. What a play by Tad Miller, the third baseman, and that retires the side. It has been Quincy's night as we go to the last half of the third inning.
And the Fargo hole is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. They have got to start crawling out, otherwise you might as well just pull the dirt over.
Great play by Quincy, Illinois. Tad Miller that time. 6-0. We'll return. Bob Johnson starts the bottom of the third inning. His ball club trailing 6-0. 21 base on balls on the season, 73 strikeouts. To the plate comes the center fielder, Brent Fleshner. Satter has the play in the throw, and Glass does a great job of scooping it up at first base. We mentioned just before we broke away a moment ago that it just seems to be getting easier for Mike Kirkpatrick. Well, he gave up no runs, no hits, no errors, and one man left on, but it took him only 7 pitches to get out of the inning in the third. That's not a whole lot of work.
That's easy work.
You can play a triple header if that's the way it's going to go for you. Todd Thompson, the left fielder, watches that one go for a ball. Drew the base on ball last time at the plate. Thompson, it's a rip to right center. Foss is going to chase this one all the way to the wall. Thompson turning on the Jets. He'll get 3 out of the deal. And a stand-up triple for left fielder Todd Thompson as he ripped one to right center. And with 1 out, Quincy leading 6-0. They threaten with a runner on third.
Johnson's fooling nobody. Thompson's even got a little hitch in his swing, and he's able to get around on the fastball and drill it to the deepest part of the field. It rolls to the wall, and Thompson shows his halfback-like speed and just cruises around to third base. Sore shoulder or not, this man can move and this man can hit.
Al Klein puts it up the middle, and that scores Thompson, and it is now 7-0. So Klein rips one to center field, and that is the 7th hit given up by Bob Johnson in 2 of the third innings of work.
Here's a curveball we didn't see Bob Johnson throw in round 1. That one was hanging. And now we've got some action in the bullpen.
Jeff Stevens, who threw a very fine ball game against Springfield, Illinois, Springfield, Missouri, just a few moments ago. And Jeff Fichtner, the pitching coach, is going to come over and hash it over with Bob Johnson, and I believe he's going to be done.
He's going to buy some time at least. Stevens is nowhere near ready. He's going to say, how's your mom doing? How's your dad? Are you looking forward to school starting?
Jeff Stevens, he's pitched 92 innings on the year. This is a reversal of the other night against Springfield, Missouri. It was Stevens who gave way to Johnson in relief help, and now turning the tables.
I don't think Mike Hellenthal thought it would be this easy. I think he thought he was in for a real struggle. So far, Fargo has not put up a battle. But there is baseball left to be played.
Klein on first, 1 out. Fouled away by Zanger, the first baseman. Used in mostly a pinch hit role during the season, batting .315. When Kirkpatrick's on the mound, Zanger's at first. He flied out to left field in his last at bat. That one goes in the dirt. Stevens continues to warm up in the Fargo bullpen. Nobody's leaving, but I don't think anybody's booked hotel reservations in Stevens Point either. We're in the bottom of the third. Quincy has scored every time they've come to the plate. They lead at 7-0 on 7 hits. Fargo's committed 3 errors tonight.
That probably set the tone more than anything because Fargo's been behind in games before, like Springfield 2-0.
Wixo goes to glass. Klein quickly back to first base, safely. Johnson out of the stretch. It's been a familiar position tonight. The 2-2 pitch, and Zanger puts it to center field. That'll be just an easy single. That'll be the 8th hit given up by Johnson here, and 2 1/3 innings of work.
And he knew it. As soon as he threw that ball, he knew he had hung it right over the fat part of the plate.
And here comes Jerry Harder, and before they allow him to pitch to Gilbert, who has already got 2 hits and scored 2 runs on the night, they're going to make the change. Stick around. You never know what will happen in this crazy game of baseball. Fargo trails Quincy, Illinois 7-0 in the Central Plains Regional Baseball Championship game. We'll return. Jeff Stevens moved his record to 11-1 the other night with a win over Springfield, Missouri. His ERA, more than respectable, 2.25. The log on Bob Johnson. He worked 2 1/3 innings, gave up 8 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them earned. He did not strike out a batter, and he walked 2 batters.
Very un-Bob Johnson-like.
But, of course, working.
With very little rest.
Yeah, working on very little rest.
Mr. Stevens is in the same category. He's working with very little rest.
I don't know what it is, but down here by the Red River, they must have bionic mosquitoes who can hang in there in 40-degree weather. Well, that's a story to be told right there if Fargo comes back to win this game. Quincy, Illinois, leading 7-0 this year, has never lost a game when they had that kind of an advantage. Although they did lose 1 game early in the year when they led 6-1, they ended up losing by a run. And Gilbert steps to the plate, having gotten 2 hits off Bob Johnson and scoring twice. And he looks at the first one go by as it goes in the dirt. Klein is on second. Zanger is on first. There's 1 out. We're in the bottom of the 3rd. It is 7-0 Quincy. Stevens' second pitch is a swing and a tipped-off shot by Gilbert to even the count at 1-1. Stevens with the 1-1 pitch. Nice curveball, but it's too low in the dirt. What kind of stuff is Stevens going to be trying to chase Quincy with?
Anything he can. He'll try a little bit of everything.
The 2-1 pitch. Stevens, I think, thought that was a strike.
What does he have to throw at him? I think right now he's got to worry about throwing strikes. Forget the curveball, forkball, slider, curveball. Just get it over.
Well, he fills the board with a 3-2 count. If he can get Gilbert out, that's a start. Kid who was 2 for 2. Klein on second. Zanger on first. The 3-2 pitch is fouled away. Nobody's leaving. The 3-2 pitch. I don't think Gilbert could have hit that with a 9-foot bat. The bags are jammed. Fargo's in big-time trouble. It's 7-0, 1 out in the bottom of the third. And coming to the plate now is Chris Jones, the second baseman. Klein is on third, Zanger is on first, and Gilbert, check that, Zanger on second, Gilbert on first. And Jones is 1 for 1. He's walked, and he's scored twice tonight. Now I know how the boys on WDBS feel. Some of them can get long. Stevens, he makes the play at home for the force out, and a nice play by Stevens that time as they got Klein on the force out. And that'll be 2 outs. The bad news is the bags are still loaded.
The good news is there is now 2 outs. That was the play they needed. They needed an infield out where no one would score. They needed a strikeout or a weak little pop fly. Crack of the bat. That runner on third, Klein, has got to be off because he's got to score that run. And I think Mr. Stevens took one right off the shin. But he had the composure to get himself going again and grab the ball and throw it home accurately.
So Tad Miller, who has also had somewhat a good evening, he's 0 for 1 at the plate, but he's got 2 RBIs. Check that? My fault. Sacrifice fly, that's right.
And at this point, if Stevens doesn't get the job done, the bench is ready to come in and pitch. That's Bart Iniger warming up in the Fargo bullpen. He threw last night.
And threw well.
Very well. Made one mistake, and it cost him 3 runs. Mike Kirkpatrick hit a 3-run home run right down the 295 foul line here at Jack Williams Stadium. Other than that, he pitched very well. Kept Quincy off balance. But oh, would he like to have that one pitch back.
Tad Miller with a sacrifice fly his last time at the plate. Zanger on third, Gilbert on second, Jones on first. 2 outs, bottom of the third, 7-0. Quincy has scored in every inning tonight. Every at-bat they've been able to do something. Change up by Stevens. Evens the count at 1-1. Kirkpatrick, the big kid, is on deck. That was going to be a pass ball, and Zanger scores. Gilbert turned in the corner, and that makes it 8-0. Wixo just couldn't keep it in front of him that time.
The old 55-footer. Curveball will always bounce the other way that you're trying to throw it. And a curveball breaking from right to left, it goes from left to right when it hits the ground.
Miller drives one to center field, and 2 runs will score as Gilbert and Jones cross the plate. And Miller's going to second. And he holds up there as there was a mistake in center field as the ball wasn't played very well, and now it's 10-0.
And the wheels have come off. Right in the middle of the plate, lines at the center, Dan Foss. This is not like Dan Foss. He takes his eye off the ball right underneath his glove. Fargo's not into this ball game. They're not in it at all.
Here's the pitcher, Mike Kirkpatrick.
Oh, let's pick up a couple errors on one hit. Brad Dean overruns the ball, but it doesn't cost him a base.
Kirkpatrick flies out to the second baseman, Rob Hansen. A huge inning again for Quincy, Illinois. And another third-inning nightmare for Fargo as they give up 4 runs on 4 hits, 1 error, and 1 man left on base. You got to believe. We'll be back.
Food sandwiches available.
Well, the hitters for Fargo coming to the plate are 3, 4, and 5. And there's my better half, Maureen Zimmerman, and to her left is Jill Heilman, her director's wife. And little Honey Ann. Hey, there's Dave the Rave. He's hammering. Uh-oh, he must be a bad boy. Maureen's holding him.
Holly Ann may be the only person enjoying this game. Cute doesn't describe Holly Ann, and ugly does not describe Fargo's performance so far.
Rob Hansen at the plate tonight. One for one. Got a single. And he fouls that one back right into the crowd. Nobody can get a handle on it, though.
Oh, would you feel better if you caught a foul ball, Ed?
I really would. I know I'd really put forth the effort. Kirkpatrick still working ahead of the hitters. 0-2 is the count. Certainly making a strong bid for tournament MVP, that's for sure. Quincy has been consistent. They've been powerful. They've had good pitching. And I'm going to the bullpen, Dana. I'm going to the jacket.
What took you so long?
I was kind of hoping this game might warm me up a little bit, but it's not getting her done. Now, if we were the network, we could cut to the other game on the West Coast. There's a shot over to Zanger. He plays it off the bat of Hansen. That'll be one down. We're at the top of the fourth. The numbers on the board are staggering, but they're certainly truthful. It's 10-0. Quincy's out in front. Shane Hitter is the batter now.
Zanger made that easy play look difficult.
Fargo has managed 2 hits in this game so far. Quincy's tagged Fargo pitching for 9 hits and 10 runs. The rally hats are still being twisted in the dugout. And there's a little Texas leaguer, but it's not going to drop as Chris Jones makes the play for an easy second out of the inning.
Shortstop Tony Satter.
And it's just getting easier and easier for Kirkpatrick. His last outing, he needed only 7 pitches. He's got 2 outs now, and he's in that neighborhood. Satter struck out the last time he was up in the 2nd inning. This guy's got heat.
He's also got some pretty good location.
Quincy, Illinois had not made it to the Illinois State Tournament in 32 years. A lot of determination behind that strike. 1-2 is the count. Satter. Miller, it's a fair ball. He'll have to get it over there, and he gets it in time. And you know they're playing well when they can get Tony Satter on a bleeder down the 3rd baseline, because he's definitely got some speed. The double digits belong to Quincy, and Fargo has yet to score, and we'll be back.
Region 1 had a slight rain delay. Today they were playing games 11, 12,
Back at Jack Williams Stadium, Ed Schultz along with Dana Mock tonight. It has been a rough road so far for Fargo as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. It's been a nightmare to say the least, as they have given up 9 hits and 10 runs, and Fargo has committed 4 errors. Bob Johnson started the ball game. Quincy chased him in 2 1/3 after he gave up 8 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned, didn't strike anybody out, and drew 2 base on balls. Jeff Stevens is now in for Fargo.
All items are on sale.
The way things are going now, Danny, you think that Fargo just reached its peak against Springfield, Missouri.
Papillion, Springfield.
Those games must have just taken too much out of this club because they played okay last night, but not certainly one of their better games. And then coming back tonight, this is probably their worst outing of the season. In fact, I don't remember Fargo being behind at any one time during this season 10-0. Especially this early in the game as we go to the bottom of the 4th.
They've been this flat before, though, and that was the stay alive game in the tournament in Grand Forks when they played their feeder program, the Fargo Bombers. And Fargo didn't have it that night. They don't have it yet tonight.
Lyle Martin is the batter. He's 1 for 2 on the night. He tripled back in the 2nd inning and brought a couple of runs in. Stevens going high to make the count 3-1. Whoever would want Skip Carey's job after this?
Fargo's got to stop the bleeding.
Center fielder Brent Flesner.
Quincy scored in every inning. 4 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 4 in the 3rd. Threatening again.
There is no 10-run rule in Legion ball here in the tournaments. Jerry Harder coming out. They're going to make some changes here. Brad Baker is now going to warm up on the mound as they're going to take Jeff Stevens out. Peterson goes to 3rd base. Brad Baker goes to the mound for the first time in this tournament. While he warms up, we'll break away. Quincy leads it 10-0.
Please now pitching for Fargo. Number 11,
That's the
Brad Baker.
coldest 62 degrees I think I've ever been associated with, folks. The northwest wind is at 14 miles an hour. Clear and cool. It's going to the 40s. That's when the greenheads start flapping in them sloughs when it gets around 40.
62 is a lot warmer for Quincy, Illinois right now.
Brad Baker got a 5-1 record, 3.35 ERA. They thought going into this tournament he would eventually be on the mound, but they certainly didn't think he was going to be in this situation.
He's had arm troubles late in the year. In fact, on the Western trip, when they go out and play Williston, Minot, Bismarck, they sent Brad Baker home early because his arm was so bad. Sent him back to heal up, and he hasn't pitched much lately, and that means control could be a problem. The pitcher doesn't get work, doesn't get to feel the mound, feel the ball, and he can struggle finding that strike zone.
Brent Flesner is the batter right now. Over to Tony Satter. And Satter couldn't make the play. Couldn't make it on Lyle Martin going to 2nd base, nor could he make it over to 1st. So that's error number 5 on Fargo on the night.
The left fielder, Todd Thompson.
It's too bad that this ball club will end the season on a game so poorly played to this point. After winning 65 games during the regular season and through tournament play. Todd Thompson, the batter. Baker delivers his first pitch to him. It's a ball.
It's going to take some kind of effort for Fargo to come back in this game.
Martin on 2nd. Flesner on 1st. Thompson watches a curveball go for a strike. Nice pitch by Baker that time. Fargo just never got on track tonight. We're in the bottom of the fourth, and there's a shot by Thompson. It's going to be played by the right fielder, Brad Dean. Martin, oh, he drops the ball in right field. And that's going to load the bases. And that'll be the 6th error on Fargo on the night.
I really don't know what to say over this highlight tape. It's a high fly ball. Once in a while it can be tough to pick up by the lights, but Dean's got a track on it, and I think maybe he just lets it get behind him a little bit, takes his eye off the ball, and picture tells the story there.
I think the positive thing we can say is that Quincy's going to want a dub of this. The bases are loaded, nobody out, and Klein is at the plate, and it's in the bottom of the fourth. And now I know I don't want to be a baseball announcer on the networks. No, I'm just kidding. There's a nice shot up the middle. 2 runs are going to come in. Martin scores. Fleshner's coming into home. And that is a 2-run single for Al Klein, the catcher. And now it is 12-0 in the bottom of the fourth, and nobody is out.
First baseman Jeff Zanger.
And the only thing Fargo is approaching double digits in is the big E. They've got 6.
Oh.
That's Class E softball stuff.
Not to be critical, but it's just been a dreadful defensive night for Fargo. Thompson's on second. Klein's on first. Zanger's at the plate. Baker with the curveball. It's a little too high. I think the umpire's rooting for Fargo. When he sees a ball, he drops his head down a little bit and says, no, that's not any good either. He did. He dropped his head.
You can tell he's not getting paid by the hour.
Zanger pops that one up. David Glass.
Squeeze it.
Makes the play.
First down the order, and here's the right fielder, Greg Gilbert.
Thompson's on second, Klein's on first. Greg Gilbert, a very fine evening. He's 2 for 2, and he scored 3 runs. And there's another shot to center field. Foss should be able to play it. He does. That's 1 out. Thompson's going to tag and come to third, and he does it easily. The throw came into Satter. So with runners on the corner,
Second baseman Chris Jones.
Thompson at third, Klein at first. There's 2 outs.
Even Quincy's outs are impressive.
Yeah. Chris Jones now steps into the batter's box. And he drills one to left center. That's more trouble for Fargo. Thompson scores. Klein is being waved home. And that's going to be a 2-run double. The play at the plate. Oh, and he's out of there. A nice cutoff throw by Tony Satter. The best defensive play of the night for Fargo, as Klein was thrown out at home.
For Quincy, 3 runs.
This will show you the strength of Tony Satter's arm. First of all, we'll start with the play. It goes to deep left center field, and Foss is there. He's got to corral it, and his job right now is to hit the cutoff man. He misses that, the run scores easily. He's got to get out there a ways, and the man is just rounding third. He stumbled just a shade. Satter is able to show off his arm, hit Wixo on the fly. He's dead.
for the highlight tape. It's a nice play for Fargo on the night, but a run did score. And 3 came across in that inning for Quincy, Illinois on 2 hits, 2 errors, and 1 man left on base. After 6 errors for Fargo, it's 13-0 Quincy, and we'll be back. Well, Ryan Wixo now comes to the plate. Some of the fans are starting to file out of here this evening.
Either
it's 13-0. They've seen enough.
Either that or there's a sale at the souvenir stand that we don't know about.
The ledger is extremely lopsided through the 4th. Fargo, no runs, 2 hits, 6 errors, and no one has been stranded. Quincy, 13 runs on 11 hits. They've yet to commit a mistake, and they've had 4 players left on base. Quincy, in the top of the 5th, has definitely got World Series numbers on the board. Beautiful night. Wind not a big factor. And Kirkpatrick throwing with even more determination than when he started the ball game. Steps off the rubber. I think he saw the light at the tunnel at the end of the tunnel after the 1st inning. And Tad Miller makes the play, and Wixo flies out to the 3rd sacker. So that'll be the first out here in the top of the 5th.
Right fielder Brad Dean.
Brad Dean, who just committed an error in right field. Now steps to the plate. Did not start in last night's game. He singled in the 2nd inning. And Dean has his 2nd hit on the night. And that's Fargo's 3rd hit on the evening. So with 1 out,
Here's the pitcher, Brad Baker.
Brad Baker will now come in for Fargo. Quincy has just never let up in this game. They've just chipped away and hammered away and chipped away and just kept putting the pressure on Fargo throughout. And Kirkpatrick is finally told by the catcher to take it, and he does.
The catcher didn't want to have anything to do with that one. That's a tough one. Straight up in the air, and the ball comes back into play when it's hit like that.
Third baseman Tim
Well, you'd think
Peterson.
the catcher would be able to get a hold of that one pretty easy, but maybe he's just figuring let the best athlete handle it.
It's an easier play for the pitcher.
He's coming into it.
And that's where the ball's coming. It's coming out to him.
Tim Peterson. His first at bat on the evening. He came into 3rd base when Baker went to pitch for Fargo. This kid is throwing smoke, folks. He's just getting stronger as this thing's going on. And he's still ahead of the batters. He's got an 0-2 pitch here with 2 outs. And that's it. That'll retire the side. Mike Kirkpatrick's got my vote for MVP.
Fargo, no runs.
So Fargo got a hit that inning. Brad Dean got a single, but they've yet to dent the scoreboard as it's no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on, and we'll be back. I don't know what you can put your finger on when you go through a deal like this. It would take a near miracle for Fargo to come back and beat a ball club that has been as terrific as this Quincy ball club has been all year.
There are some folks who don't believe in miracles.
check in at home on WDAY just to see how this comeback is coming along for Fargo.
Coming up, and here's the third baseman, Tad Miller.
Here, Dana, have a bite of some coffee.
Who baked this stuff?
Marine came up with this idea before I left the house tonight.
It's a good idea.
Well, Tad Miller is at the plate now, and he's had quite an evening. What Quincy player hasn't? Geez, they've had a career in this one so far.
The bat boy is hitless.
Miller to Foss in center field. It should be an easy out, and it is.
Here's the pitcher, Mike Kirkpatrick.
We're in the bottom of the fifth. It's 13-0. Quincy leads Fargo. And the big fella stepping to the plate now is Mike Kirkpatrick with a .440 average. He hit 2 home runs last night, totaled 5 RBIs. He's 1 for 3 on the night right now. And that one's going to be into left center for another base hit. And Kirkpatrick adding to the totals with a nice double. If he had had some more power on that one to the left a little bit, it'd have been gone.
It looked like he took kind of a half-hearted swing. He did.
Pretty smooth.
He's got some forearms on him. Drills that one to left center field.
Shortstop Lyle Martin.
That's not too bad when you take a half-hearted swing and hit it 350 feet.
And Martin puts one to right field. So now Quincy, with 1 out, has got runners on the corners. Kirkpatrick's at third and Martin's at first. And by the way, Kirkpatrick's hit was the 4th extra bait hit on the night, and they have now totaled 13 hits on the evening. Brent Fleshner, the center fielder, is now at the plate for Quincy. The highlight at this point would be 10-cent hot dogs.
I heard a rumor that Marv was going to be at this game. He probably heard that 10-cent hot dog rumor, too.
Fleshner goes after that one as Baker gets him fishing. And that
The left fielder, Todd Thompson.
is the first strikeout on the night for Fargo. And it comes in the bottom of the 5th inning with 2 outs and runners on the corner. Kirkpatrick on third, Martin on first. And the batter is Todd Thompson, who laced one the last time at the plate. Or should I say which time? Nice pitch by Baker. He got Thompson really throwing out the fishing pole on that one. Runners on the corner, 1 out, the 1-1 pitch. 1-2 is the count.
Fargo is a strike away from having a scoreless inning.
It would be the first in this game, and they're going to get it. Baker over to Glass. So at last, Quincy is kept off the scoreboard. Fargo, no runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on. The totals go 4-2, 4-3-0, and it's 13-0 as we go to the top of the 6th.
Paid attendance here at Jack Williams Stadium.
The attendance for tonight's ball game here at Jack Williams Stadium, 1,829 folks came out. Attendance for the tournament, 8,413. Stick around after this baseball game. We'll have News Center 6 for you, then Star Search, then the ABC Sunday Night Movie. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
For Fargo, we start
Kirby Puckett put his name in the record books today.
6 for 6 at the plate.
And 10 of 11 over the last 2 games.
David Glass is the batter now for Fargo. Chops one foul. Well, it's too bad that this game will somewhat tarnish what has been a terrific season for Fargo. They've played so well. They really look forward to this tournament. They had moments of brilliance in this tournament, the way they played against St. Louis Park and the way they played against Springfield, Missouri. Won that extra inning game against Papillion, which was just a terrific game. But it's been like 2 different leagues facing this ball club. 3-1 is the count.
Fargo's gone from looking like a major league team, a contender, to a
pretender.
To a bus league team in the minors, in the rookie leagues.
Well, for the first time tonight, as we go to the top of the 6th inning, Fargo gets a runner on base with no outs.
Center fielder Dan Foss.
And Dan Foss checks into the batter's box, and he's 0 for 2 on the night. Goose eggs across the board for Fargo. 3 hits and 6 errors. 13 runs, 13 hits, no errors for Quincy. See if David Glass is going to go.
If he goes, it's on his own.
Pretty quick move there by Kirkpatrick that time.
And he'd better make it, because they don't need 1 run. They need 13.
That one's fouled back, close to the family.
Look out, Holly Ann. Got a call for those.
Dave's over there hammering. Foss gets a hold of one, but it's going to go foul. Be a fight down near the river for that one, as about 50 kids are chasing it. Everyone who has played in this tournament, all the teams, all the officials from out of town, they have just had nothing but praise for the way this tournament's been run and the ballpark. That could be trouble. Nah. Brent Fleshner comes in to make the play. So Foss flies out to center field. David Glass on first. And Rob Hansen checks into the batter's box after going 1 for 2 on the night. There's 1 out here in the top of the 6th inning. It's 13-0 Quincy. The stats on Hansen, pretty good for this tournament. There's a nice shot, and Fleshner, he makes the play again. So that'll be 2 outs.
You can see why Hansen's 8 of 20 in this tournament. He's swinging a hot bat. This one was hit on a line. But unfortunately, like all of Fargo's luck tonight, it has not been good.
Shane Hitter, 4 hits and 15 at-bats and 3 RBI in this tournament.
Daddy. George today.
Hitter to the left fielder. Watch that one go down a little bit low in the dirt. Glass on first. 2 outs. the catcher, not paying a whole lot of attention to David Glass right now. Count goes to 3-0.
Fargo should just relax now and have a little fun. They've had a great year. You never know what can happen in 3 innings of work. Not optimistic, but let your hair down a little bit. A lot of teams would like to trade places with him.
There goes Glass, the 3-1 pitch. And of course it's a ball, so that'll put Hitter on first, Glass on second, and Tony Satter, who has struggled all night long both at the plate and in the field, comes to the plate. Satter 0 for 2 at the plate tonight.
Shortstop Tony Satter.
Tony was a real project this year. Took over shortstop. They didn't have one when the season started. Jerry asked Satter if he wanted to try it, and he said, yes, I'd love the challenge. And he was one of the best pitchers 2 years ago for the Bombers when they made it to state, and Fargo did not.
But one of the things about this ball club is that they've been able to hit the ball well all year. This is a game that's very unusual for them, that they've got only 3 hits in the top of the 6th inning. Jerry Harder doing some close work with the Mankato State baseball coach. Changed some things as far as hitting is concerned for Fargo. They changed the stance on a lot of players in the batter's box. They changed how they were gripping the bat, where they were holding the bat in relationship to their body and whatnot. And the toss goes way down to second base, and Jones gathers a Klein throw way high, certainly not in time to pick off Dave Glass. As I was mentioning, the hitting of this ball club has picked up this year from a year ago. But I would imagine that Kirkpatrick is probably as clean and as strong a pitcher that Fargo's faced all year long.
He sure has command of his pitches tonight.
There's a nice shot to center field. Glass is going to score. Hitter's at third, and he'll hold there. So Tony Satter with an RBI single wipes out the shutout that Mike Kirkpatrick had going into the 6th inning.
Off-speed pitch. Looks like he let up a little bit. Put it up in the letters, and Satter gives it the one-arm magic, hits it into center field, and the runners were going on the pitch on a 3-2 count. Glass scores easily, and Hitter gets to third very easily.
Ryan Wixo now at the plate. He's 0 for 2 on the night. There goes Satter. Klein doesn't even get it out of the mitt. Fans are still with this ball club. It's 13-1. We're in the top of the 6th. There's 2 outs. Wixo tips that one foul. Well, I think Fargo now is thinking about just playing themselves proud at this point.
Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and let's finish the way we've been playing most of the year.
That retires the side. The 1-2 pitch is a strike. But Fargo gets on the board with 1 run on 1 hit. No errors committed by Quincy and 2 men left on. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Quincy's definitely in control.
Ron Westrick.
Baker's on the mound for Fargo again this inning. Al Klein will check into the batter's box now for Quincy, Illinois. The totals on the board to this point are gross. Gus is getting, yeah, I could say that too, couldn't I?
For Quincy, the catcher.
They're correct, that's what I'm trying to say. My lips are getting tight here.
Have a little more
chilly out.
Have a little more coffee.
13-1. Klein at the plate. Brad Baker. Played quarterback for Dave Heide at Fargo North. Is that a highlight they got on the tube right now? To the bottom of the sixth, Dana and Ed went to the coffee.
We went to the coffee earlier than that.
Baker puts that one down a little bit. Well, our remote crew is going to be out and back at it on Saturday when Morehead State and Concordia do battle at Jake Christensen Stadium. Baker gets the outside corner. The 3-1 pitch to Klein, and he pops it up. Glass trying to make a play on the ball, and he does. There'll be one out here in the bottom of the sixth inning. New Center 6 follows this broadcast.
First baseman Jeff Zanger.
Glass has got to do right there. He checked for the fence. Made sure he had plenty of room. Made the grab.
Jeff Zanger. He's 1 for 3 on the night. Zanger. He gets a hold of one. Hitter is way back up against the fence and makes the play. So that'll be 2 outs here in the bottom of the sixth inning. If that one was as long as it was high, it'd have been out of here.
Kind of looked like one of Kirkpatrick's last night, where it's sky high and it's 100 feet when you're above the shortstop.
Here's the right fielder, Greg
And
Gilbert.
Header puts a little scare into the coaches, doing the famous back pedal.
Any reason why they don't have a warning track here, Dana?
I don't know. They might have problems with because they do have flooding once in a while, and maybe it doesn't pay to put in a warning track because it would all wash away anyway.
Greg Gilbert, he's been a little pest tonight for this Fargo team. 2 for 3, scored 3 runs. Chip Litton's here tonight. Says he doesn't want to take over.
Let's go down to Chip.
Yeah. This guy's a good ball player. Plays a strong right field. Showed some good strength on the mound last night. He's only 5'6".
He proves you don't have to be big to play this game.
Just got to have a big heart. Boy, he has one. Nice pitch by Brad Baker. And Greg Gilbert caught looking, and that'll retire the side. So we go to the bottom of the sixth inning. Quincy, 13-1. But Baker throwing pretty well here in the late innings.
Seventh, eighth, and ninth batters.
Holy smokes.
The right fielder, Brad Dean.
Is that what I think it is?
And this programming note, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, is coming up next.
Brad Dean pops one up to the right fielder Gilbert for the putout. Well, we want to thank our friends over at Prairie Public Television for the use of that center field camera. Boy, when you can see the craters on the moon, we can definitely see what the catcher's telling the pitcher to do. Although although Kirkpatrick has needed very little direction tonight. Brad Baker at the plate. He drills one to center field. That'll be a base hit for Fargo there. First hit of this inning and 5th hit of the game. Top of the 7th, 1 out. It's 13-1.
Tim Peterson.
Fargo was able to touch Kirkpatrick for 1 run in the last inning when Tony Satter got a RBI single. This is Tim Peterson. Peterson pops one to Miller. Do they get the double play? They do. Miller to Jones to Zanger, and that really retires the side. Good looking play for Quincy, Illinois.
Excellent play. You got to get that baby out of your glove right off the bat and make a good throw. That's not an easy throw because you've got all your momentum going one way. Baker didn't break up the double play, but he knew it was routine.
No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Quincy, Illinois can now make reservations in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. The Rocky Hager Football Show premieres September 11th at 6:30 here on WDAY, the night before the season opener at Northern Michigan. To the batter's box now for Quincy, Illinois goes Chris Jones, the second baseman. He's 2 for 3 on the night. Brad Baker in relief of Stevens. And Jones sends hitter back. So that'll be 1 out here on the bottom of the 7th.
Third baseman Tad Miller.
Baker has retired 6 straight batters. Now that's a defensive highlight tonight. Fargo has managed 5 hits, 1 run. Quincy 13 runs on 13 hits and no errors. Tad Miller, the third baseman who started the last inning's double play, is at the plate. Baker gets the call around the knees.
Right now you got to scratch your head and say what would have happened if Baker would have started the game and pitched like this right off the bat.
Nice curveball. Tony Satter makes a nice stab at it and retires Miller. That'll be 2 outs.
Here's the pitcher, Mike Kirkpatrick.
That's the way Tony Satter can play.
Gosh, Fargo just started rough tonight. They were rough around the edges from the start for the first 3 innings. Gave up 4, gave up 2, gave up 4, gave up 3. They've held Quincy scoreless the past 2 innings. And now with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th, Mike Kirkpatrick, the pitcher, comes to the plate. Well, he gets a hold of that one, and that's a high pop fly to left field, and hitter makes the play. That'll retire the side. So Kirkpatrick about 15 feet short of a home run that time.
No runs, no hits.
But I think you baseball fans can see that this kid can definitely play. So we go to the top of the 8th. It's 13-1. Jerry Harder in his 21st year of coaching Legion baseball here in Fargo. A lot lot of speculation as to what he'll do at the end of this season.
He's won more than 800 games. That is incredible.
For Fargo in the top half of the 8th inning.
Todd Thompson, the left fielder, has been pulled, and
First baseman Dave Glass.
it pretty well in security here. They've made a change, and Gilbert, the right fielder, is also out of the lineup. Quincy, of course, feeling the victory now, being not too far away. The log on Kirkpatrick is he's given up 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks. So right now the roster changes are being registered with the official score as Dave Hetzler goes into left field. Todd Thompson goes to the bench. Please forgive me, I did not see the player in right field. I know that Gilbert is out of the ball game. If he were like a Dave Parker, he'd be certainly noticeable.
It's most likely James Alford, but we're not certain.
They list 3 right fielders. Alford, Hetzler. It is Alford. He's 23. Alford, Hetzler, and Gilbert play that right field position. David Glass to the shortstop Martin, to the first Sacker Zanger for the first out here in the top of the 8th inning.
Right field, number 2, Jim Alford. And now third base, number 20, Sam Coolman. And now left field,
David Glass is 0 for 8 in his last 9 trips to the plate.
Sammy Coleman is also in at the shortstop position for Quincy. Danny Foss at the plate. Puts that one down in the dirt, watches it go in the dirt from Kirkpatrick. It's a ball. What do you think Jerry will do, Dana?
I don't know. We've heard for the past couple of years he's had some question marks whether he would come back. He is definitely in a groove. After 21 years, I don't know what he would do in the summer.
Probably take a vacation, something his family hasn't had.
He deserves one.
Well, Dan Foss puts one to right field for a single with 1 out here on the top of the 8th inning. The World Series starts on Thursday in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Rob Hansen gets a hold of that one, and that's going to be in the center field for a single. So Fargo gets its 7th hit on the night.
And at least they're having a little fun. Hansen's got a smile at first. Fichtner's got a smile on his face. This isn't life or death. This is Legion baseball.
Does it make it a little easier to accept defeat when you know a ball club comes in like Quincy and just does all the things they've done tonight and throughout this tournament?
No. It's tough, especially when you're 1 game away from a World Series.
Well, I can remember, Dana, not too long ago, you were up in northern Minnesota with this ball club. I believe it was in 83 or 84, or 83.
83 when they had the World Series here.
And Fargo was 1 game away from the World Series then, too. And that was a heartbreaking loss.
Peoria, Illinois, I believe, got them in the losers bracket after they were very impressive. I believe they knocked off Creighton of Omaha in a game that not many people expected Fargo to win. They won that one, and then the dream started getting closer. Could they come back and participate in a World Series in their own backyard?
Dan Foss is on second. Rob Hansen's on first. Shane Hitter, the batter, and he draws a base on ball. And for the first time tonight, Fargo has the bases loaded. And Mike Hellenthal, the coach of the Quincy, Illinois team, wants to hash it over with Mike Kirkpatrick.
Here's ball 4, high and inside. Fargo remains patient at the plate even though they trail by a score of 13-1. Once in a while you can get down this far and it's time to loosen up a little bit and say, well, I wonder if I can really hit one out of here, especially if you've never hit one before.
Shortstop, Tony Satter.
Tony Satter, who's got the only RBI on the night for Fargo, steps to the plate. He's 1 for 3 at the plate tonight. He drove in Fargo's only run. Fargo's got 7 hits on the night. We're in the top of the 8th inning with 1 out. Fargo's got the bases loaded. And Tony Satter takes a call strike. Shane Hitter on first. Rob Hansen on second. Dan Foss on third. Mike Kirkpatrick has already visited with his coach, but they're going to elect to go with him. I tell you, this Kirkpatrick does a good job of keeping the ball low. And Klein's not that bad of a catcher either. He goes high with that one. 2-1's the count. Satter struck out twice tonight before getting that RBI single. And that came in the 6th inning. We're in the top of the 8th with 1 out, bases loaded. The count's 3-1.
It's not easy to stay sharp when you're up by 12 or down by 12.
Satter pops it up. Zanger will have a shot at it at first base in foul territory, and he makes the play for the 2nd out of the inning. And Brad Baker will come to the plate now for Fargo, or check that.
Got a pinch hitter.
Yeah, we do. Kirkpatrick
Batting for the catcher
has had just a tremendous
18,
night.
Steve Willman.
Steve Willman. Willman with a .344 batting average. No home runs on the season. Willman takes a call strike.
Well, if there's a man who deserves a rest, it is Ryan Wixo. He's logged some duty in this tournament.
Willman fouls that one off to make the count 0-2 with 2 outs, and I believe the catcher that time took a undesirable shot. Al Klein took one on the shoulder.
Sometimes they don't make those pads wide enough or high enough.
Or thick enough.
Staff number 2. Staff number 2 to the press box, please.
Just nip the shoulder bone and they sting.
News Center 6 will follow this broadcast. It may get over before 10 o'clock, Aussie.
Can you fill?
We've done our job tonight.
We kept him late last night. We'll get him on early tonight.
September 5th, next Saturday, we'll be at Jake Christensen Stadium where the Cobbers will play host to Moorhead State for the annual clash between the Cobbers and Dragons. It's a 1:35 kickoff. We'll be on the air at 1:30. A couple of fine quarterbacks in that game. Dan Paladichek of the Cobbers and Mark Adams of the Dragons. Once again, many thanks to Larry Scott, Sports Information Director of Moorhead State, in the broadcast booth tonight.
I thought he was going to start jotting down some Mark Adams stats for us.
Scotty, of course, been a big help to us throughout this tournament on the broadcast with the facts, the figures, and the quick stats. Willman lets the 0-2 pitch go by. 2 outs, bases loaded. Hitter on first, Hansen on second, Foss on third. The pitch. And a nice shot by Willman, but they just can't get this Quincy team to shake at all. As it was a nice play by Lyle Martin. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 3 men left stranded.
Sports Medicine, your trailer, please.
We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Quincy, Illinois leads it 13-1. A team that was 1 out away from being eliminated, or 1 pitch away from being eliminated in this tournament, has battled its way back. And now they're just 6 outs away from going to Stevens Point, Wisconsin next week for the American Legion National World Series. Some loyal fans have hung around here tonight, but certainly not the 1,800 that were here for the first pitch, which Greg Gilbert put in center field, and it was downhill from there. Lyle Martin, the shortstop, is the first batter here as we start the bottom of the 8th inning. 13-1, Quincy.
Now catching for Fargo, number 18, Steve Willman.
Steve Willman behind the plate for Fargo right now.
Martin's got another year of eligibility left for Legion baseball, but he's also eligible to head on off to college and play a little ball, and he's getting some offers from Division I schools. Bradley University is one school that is interested in Mr. Martin as a baseball player and a bookworm.
His fielding has impressed me in this tournament, but I can't really say that he's got a real overpowering arm.
When you think of Division I baseball, you usually think of, well, a player should probably dominate at this level, and he hasn't dominated, but he may be a project.
What do you think about Kirkpatrick? Is he Division I material?
He's got another year left. He could make things happen. He'll have to really have a consistent year next year. His 5th year of Legion ball next year, Mike Kirkpatrick. It's going to get old.
Let's see if it hit Martin that time.
What you got?
I don't think it did.
Showed the scouts some quick feet, though.
Brent Flessner, the center fielder, steps to the plate. Nobody out, bottom of the 8th. And Baker has put a couple in the dirt here.
Go, Brett!
Flessner behind that one, and almost a double play. Nice out by David Glass at first base.
The left fielder, Dave Hetzler.
Dave Hetzler checks into the batter's box. He replaced Todd Thompson in left field. Hetzler listed as a right fielder with a .249 batting average, 4 home runs and 23 RBIs. You know, everybody in this lineup has got, you know, a pretty good number of home runs considering the ballpark they play in.
They're playing a minor league stadium, a minor league complex in Quincy. They don't play there often.
They put on over 8,000 miles this year on the road playing competition around the country. Mike Hellenthal, the coach, takes great pride in the fact of saying that we've played more teams than anybody else.
What a turnaround they've done this year. At one point of the season, they were 22-10. Well, they're now 59-16. That means they went 37-6 over the last 43 ball games. That's impressive.
That one's fouled back to fill the board at 3-2. Martin's on first base after supposedly being hit. Hetzler Takes the 3-2 pitch. Chops it to Rob Hansen. Over to Satter. Over to Glass. It's in the dirt. He got him safe. Did not get him that time. He's safe in there at first. Hetzler, he was digging. Satter's thrown about 4 balls in the dirt tonight in front of Dave Glass. Dave Glass ought to get the Golden Glove Award tonight.
Either that or the Vezina Trophy as a goalie. He's made a lot of saves over there. He's taking a beating, I'll tell you that. Satter just tries to throw too hard there. Glass right in the forearm.
Right where there's no pain.
He'll have a couple of C marks over there.
That certainly can't be a career high to get short hopped when it's going 90 miles an hour.
But you know you got to do it. You got to keep the guy on first. Just hope it doesn't take a real bad hop.
2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Hetzler is on first base. Al Klein takes the 0-2 pitch. It's high for a ball. Baker can't figure it out. He thinks when you're down 13-1, you get a couple. There's a shot up the middle by Klein. Hetzler's going to hold at second.
The first baseman, Jeff Zanger.
Dana, does this mean that Fargo's pitching just was good for its competition, but really wasn't that strong in essence? What do you think?
They had a good pitching staff, but they just didn't have a deep pitching staff. Jerry Harder knew he was in trouble. I mean, he knew that Bob Johnson could go today, but he knew he wouldn't be the same pitcher just because he didn't have the same amount of days rest he had during the regular season.
Zanger to right field, and Brad Dean misses that one. Hetzler's going to score from second, and they're waving Klein in. This error is going to cost Fargo 2 runs unless they make the play there, and they do. Klein is out at home plate for the 3rd out of the inning. Second time tonight Fargo's hung in there on the mistake and been able to get the runner at home. Let's take a look at it.
Dean misses the ball. They give him a hit on the play, but he has the presence of mind to come back and get the ball and get it to Glass on 1 hop, and he fires to Willman. And I think maybe Quincy just kind of fell asleep there. It didn't look like he really wanted to slide. I don't think he was getting any help from the man who was on deck, and he's the man who's got to tell him to slide and slide in which direction.
Here's another angle.
See, this man right there, standing there next to the plate, has got to tell him what's happening. And it looked like he was kind of surprised that he had the ball. Maybe Quincy routined it and thought that Fargo would give him the easy 2 runs.
But they got 1 out of the deal. It's 14-1, and we'll be back. Lonely nights in center field, I suppose, huh? What do you do?
No hands.
Now playing first base from the catcher's position, number 10.
By the way, our center field cameraman has got a TV out there.
Number 15, Jeff Zanger.
He's watching the game. Sure he's not enjoying it.
I don't think anybody in Fargo is. Hey, there we go.
For Fargo,
It's so close he can't get it in focus, right, Karen?
coming up, and here's the right fielder, Brad Dean.
That's a long way out there. It's a heck of a camera. Brad Dean, 2 for 3 on the night. Mike Kirkpatrick is going to start this 9th inning. As we go to the top of the 9th, Fargo's got 3 outs to get 13 runs to tie it. And Dean starts it off with a little bleeder to right field. Third hit for Brad Dean tonight.
He hasn't been impressive in the field, but he has been impressive at the plate.
Brad Baker.
That's why he's playing.
Brad Baker now to the plate. It's 14-1. This one has never really been in question. Kirkpatrick has had quite a 24 hours. Goes high with that one.
He's had Fargo's number.
Oh. Well, he said in our pregame show, he says, I love it. He says, this is what I want. I want to be here. I want the pressure on me tonight. I want to pitch this game. This is my game. That was right after they beat West Dubuque County, Iowa, when he was saying that.
They turned their attention to Fargo immediately.
This will be an interesting team to follow in the World Series, just to measure what kind of competition will be there this year. Baker fouls that one back. Good effort by Klein, the catcher, but he didn't get to it.
Staff number 9 to the press box, please. Staff number 9 to the press box.
We've got a new catcher in the ball game.
We certainly do. Zanger is back there behind the plate, and Klein is at first base.
Flip-flop. Klein's getting tired of getting beat up.
He's had to dig a few out of the dirt tonight. So Quincy, Illinois, 2 outs away from the World Series appearance in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And we're just 6 minutes away from New Center 6. Best thing that's happened to this ball game tonight is going to end on time. There's a nice shot.
Staff number 9. Staff number 9 to the press box, please.
So Fargo still alive here as Tim Peterson gets a hit to center field. Peterson did not play in the state tournament, was injured in the regional, but has seen some action here in this regional. Brad Dean on second, Peterson on first. And David Glass, who went, puts one to right field. This is going to score Brad Dean. They're holding up Peterson at third, and David Glass breaks a string of 0 for 8 at the plate and gets a run-scoring double here in the top of the 9th inning to make it 14-2.
Nice piece of hitting by Glass. He just goes with the pitch. It was a low outside fastball. He just locked up those hips, put the ball down the line. He's got the wheels. He'd have had an easy triple if a man wouldn't have been in front of him, but Harder couldn't take a chance at sending Peterson and getting him caught because they trail by 12. They don't absolutely need that one run.
There's a chopper. Danny Foss. That'll be 2 outs. And Peterson scores from third. That makes it 14-3. David Glass goes to third base.
Second baseman Rob Hansen.
Sports fans, I'll guarantee you, if Fargo pulls this one out with 2 out in the 9th inning, it'll be in Sports Illustrated.
On my club head!
Playing themselves pride here in the latter part of the ball game. Rob Hansen, the second baseman, drills one. DeZanger over to Kirkpatrick. The ball game's over. And I think everyone who knows baseball and appreciates great talent certainly will agree that this Quincy, Illinois team deserves to go to the Legion World Series in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Some of their fans here tonight, they lost the first game of the tournament, and they've come back to win 5 straight, and they win the Central Plains Regional title for 1987 in convincing style. We'll be back with the totals in a moment. Well, the totals on the board, sports fans, are correct. Quincy, Illinois wins it. 14 runs on 15 hits, no errors, and 8 men left on base. Fargo ends its season tonight with 3 runs, 10 hits, 6 errors, and 8 men left on base. Quincy, Illinois makes a strong bid here in the Central Plains Regional Baseball Tournament. They win the title. Dana, they're going to the World Series. Obviously, they deserve it. They played well not only tonight, but throughout the whole tournament.
They certainly like losing the first game of tournaments and then really putting a flair to the dramatic style and coming back and winning a bunch of them like they did in the district back in Illinois. Quincy, Illinois, Jerry Harder, when they watched this ball club early in this tournament, said they were an excellent hitting ball club, and when you run out of pitching or you run pitching thin, as Fargo did tonight, Quincy, Illinois took advantage of it and just hammered at Fargo.
Well, keep your eye on this Quincy ball club. They may do something in the World Series over at Stevens Point. Certainly one of their key guns is Mike Kirkpatrick, who went the distance tonight and gave up only 3 runs on 10 hits, and of course Fargo committed 6 errors tonight, which was highly unusual. Great season for Jerry Harder. We certainly hope he comes back. We don't know what he's going to do. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of speculation. You look at the people who made it possible for us to bring you this remote tonight. We want to thank our sponsors for backing Legion Baseball. This was a first for WDAY or any television station in the state of North Dakota to bring you Legion Baseball tournament coverage. We certainly enjoyed doing it. Fargo finishes its season with 65 wins on the year. That's incredible. This has been a presentation of WDAY Television Sports from Jack Williams Stadium. For Dana Mock, this is Ed Schultz saying so long, everybody.